Welcome back to 15 Lanes Talk Game Week 26 preview show. We are going to talk about all the games that will be happening in midweek as Chelsea will be hosting Leeds at the Stamford Bridge. Manchester United will be traveling to London Stadium to take on West Ham United. Manchester City will be welcoming Fulham at the Etihad Stadium, and Sunderland will be hosting Liverpool at the Stadium of Light. And the final game of midweek, Arsenal will be traveling to the Community Stadium to face Brentford, the London Derby. Let's go! Chelsea versus Leeds at the Stamford Bridge. Some of the biggest talking points of this game or going into this game. Chelsea are hoping to move into the top four as they are just 1 point behind Manchester United. Remember, Liam Rasinia, since he took over Chelsea, he hasn't lost a single game in the Premier League. He has a 100% record. You understand? And on the other hand, are we going to see Cole Palmer shine again against Leeds United? We saw him banging 3 goals against Southampton in the halftime. That was his halftime show. 2 penalties and 1 open play goal. You understand? So is he going to replicate that when they face Leeds at the Stamford Bridge? Remember, Leeds are right now 6 points off the relegation battle. You understand? They are still there in the relegation battle, even though right now they are 6 points. So I think they are coming into this game at the Bridge with an aim of at least getting a single point. Remember their last meeting with Chelsea that happened in December. Leeds won that game 3-1. Are we going to see Leeds make a double over Chelsea? And Leeds haven't won at the Stamford Bridge since 1999. So is this the time we are going to see Leeds United get their first win at the Stamford Bridge and make a double over Chelsea? We just have to wait and see. West Ham versus Manchester United at the London Stadium. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. Are we going to see Michael Carrick make it 5 out of 5 and continue his perfect start as a Manchester United interim manager since he took over Manchester United from Ruben Amorim? Remember, Ruben Amorim hadn't won even 4 out of 4 games since he was in charge of Manchester United, the 18 months he spent at the club. But Michael Carrick has just done it in 4 games, winning 4 out of 4. Is he going to continue with that perfect start and make it 5 out of 5? But the twist comes here. Manchester United have not won at the London Stadium since 2021. The meetings between Manchester United and West Ham, out of the last 6 games, West Ham have won 4 and 2 draws. You understand? Right now, West Ham are in the relegation battle. You understand? West Ham are fighting for relegation and they need every point. Each point count. Are we going to see Michael Carrick's Manchester United break that beaten streak against West Ham at the London Stadium? Or is West Ham going to come out? Or West Ham is going to come out on top in this game? You understand? We saw Michael Carrick break the record against Arsenal. Manchester United hadn't beaten Arsenal at the Emirates in a long time. But when Michael Carrick took over, we saw him ending that unbeaten run. So are we going to see that same thing happen against West Ham? We just have to wait and see. And at the we have to talk about Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mino. We saw Bruno Fernandes pulling the strings against Tottenham Hotspur in that 2 win for Manchester United. And remember also, Manchester United hadn't beaten Tottenham in a long time. So this game against West Ham is also another record-breaking game for Michael Carrick. Manchester City versus Fulham at the Etihad Stadium. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. We all know Manchester City got their 2nd win in the Premier League this year against Liverpool. This year started as Manchester City were struggling, you understand? And also, Haaland hasn't scored a single goal in open play. Both of his goals that he has scored this year, the 2 goals have been penalty goals. You understand? So, Manchester City are going into this game hoping to close the gap and put a pressure on Arsenal to 3 points. If Manchester City beat Fulham on Tuesday, they would have closed the gap to 3 points. You understand? And the pressure now will shift to Arsenal, who will be playing Brentford on Thursday. You understand? But on the other hand, we saw Fulham in the weekend dropping points. So they are also coming in this game trying to get something. You understand? And always Manchester City and Fulham games in the past season, even in the first leg of this season, they have always been action packed. They have always been tight games. But right now, with the title on the line, though Manchester City have not been playing that well, and they also have a boost of Ruben Diaz who came back and was subbed on during that Liverpool and Manchester City game, is going to be now available for the next game. You understand? If you put on the brilliance of Mark Geki, who was just signed, so Manchester City, we think they are going into this game with a solid defense. You understand? Though this game is not always easy, it's full of action. You understand? And we saw also in the game against Liverpool, Donnarumma keeping Manchester City in that game with that brilliant save from that wonderful strike from Mark Alistair. You understand? We hope Manchester City to go full strength in this game so that they can make sure that they close the gap to Arsenal to 3 points, because their next game will be in Salford in the FA. So I don't think that Guardiola is going to go in this Fulham game with any heavy squad rotation. The heavy squad rotation will happen in FA Cup. So this game, Manchester City needs it very, very much to put pressure on us. Sunderland versus Liverpool at the Stadium of Light. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. Both teams are hoping to bounce back to their winning ways as they dropped points in their respective games they played all over the weekend. Sunderland lost to Arsenal 3-0, and Liverpool also lost to Manchester City in that action-packed game. You understand? Both teams are hoping to just bounce back in to their winning ways, as Liverpool are 39 points and Sunderland 36. So which means Sunderland are going into this game hoping to close the gap on Liverpool, who are just 3 points ahead. So it's not going to be an easy game for Liverpool. And remember, Sunderland this season has humbled some big boys at the Stadium of Light. Stadium of Light is a tough place to go to this season, as we know. You understand? And we know Liverpool are going to this game with a lot of injury struggles. You understand? All their right backs are injured. And we saw Szoboszlai getting a red card in that Manchester City game. So we don't know who Arne Slot is going to play into that right back position, which means if Sunderland have any chance of winning the game against Liverpool come midweek, they have to go through that right side, because I think that right side is going to be a weak side unless something happens, unless Frimpong comes back, unless Conor Bradley comes back, or Joe Gomez. You understand? Right now, Liverpool are really, really struggling at the back. Liverpool, on the other hand, they need to close the gap on Chelsea and Manchester United. So they have to give everything for this game. And they have struggled really, really hard. They just have one win in the Premier League also this year. The win that they beat Newcastle. You understand? But they need to close the gap between them, Chelsea, and Manchester United. Manchester United is already 5 points ahead of Liverpool, and Chelsea is 2 points ahead of them. You understand? So it's going to be it's a make or break match for Liverpool, because this year Liverpool have had very many draws. That's where Manchester United came and closed on game and also surpassed them. Brentford versus Arsenal at the Community Stadium. Some of the biggest talking points going into this game. This game momentum and everything will really lie on the Manchester City and Fulham game. You understand? If Manchester City wins against Fulham or drops points, which means Arsenal will need to extend their lead to 9 points or 8 points if Manchester City makes a draw against Fulham. But if Manchester City wins that game, which means Arsenal will go with a mood of maintaining their lead to 6 points. Or if they make a draw, which means the lead will have dropped to 4 points. You understand? So the game against Fulham, the game between Fulham and Manchester City is going to set the pace of this game. You understand? Whether if Arsenal drop points here, if Manchester City had won against Fulham and Arsenal drop points, Arsenal would have Arsenal would be 3 points ahead of Manchester City. So that's the thing going into this game, whereby Arsenal, and it's a London derby, which means not going to be an easy game. You understand? Igor Thiago has 17 goals already and will be facing Arsenal. You understand? He has this guy he has had a very brilliant season, and he's hoping to be called at the Brazil national team. Though Carlo Ancelotti already released his team of potential players who are already selected for the World Cup come June 2026. So Igor Thiago has a point to prove, as he'll be facing Gabriel Magalhaes in this game. Arteta go with Jesus again to start in this game and bring on Victor Gyökeres as he did against Sunderland, or is going to change and start with Victor Gyökeres, then Jesus will just come back in. You understand? And also, Kai Havertz has been producing since he came back. He has been giving Arsenal that dynamic, that control. You understand? Since he stepped in, he has been positive. He hasn't put any foot wrong, which is a very big plus for Arsenal going into this game. And Martin Zubamendi be able to stop that transition of Brentford midfield? Because Brentford, we all know they play on transition. You understand? So will he be able to handle that? We all know how good he is at detecting and controlling games. But Brentford, with that energy in the midfield, and it's a London derby, everything's there on the line, and the game is going to be decided on the mood of this game will be decided on Manchester City's game against Fulham. The results of Manchester City, the results that come from the game of Manchester City and Fulham will decide the pace of this game. If Manchester City win, Arsenal will play this game with hopes of winning to maintain that 6-point gap, and a lot of pressure will be there. Even if Manchester City drop points against Fulham, also Arsenal will come in this game with a lot of pressure to win and extend the lead to 9 points. So this is not going to be an easy game at all for Arsenal Football Club.